Welcome back to your Neighborhood Watch. In the studio with me is Deputy Josh Dubin, who's getting down. He's so excited about Contract Law Enforcement Bureau services. Don't act like you weren't just dancing there at the break.
I've told you for many months now that we need to refresh the theme music.
Lieutenant Rosso, can you weigh in on that, sir? The theme music? You're hearing that, right? Bad Boys? Is there anything more appropriate?
I think it's a good choice.
Thank you.
I'm the only one, I guess.
Yeah, and you have no alternative.
I'm going to find something for you.
All right. Well, dig through the archives.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Rosso with us on the air from the Contract Law Enforcement Bureau Services. And Lieutenant Rosso, you were just telling us about how one of the things that the Sheriff's Department does is it looks at cities who might be in need of or wanting to save some money and look at Sheriff's Department services and expanding their service with the Sheriff's Department. And you guys do a breakdown and analysis and say, hey, you can save this much money, or we can do this for you. One of the things one of the reasons why I want you on here is because a big hot button topic out here is, we're the third largest city in LA County, and people think, hey, why don't we have a police department on our phone? And there's a savings involved in that, right? I mean, you guys have done the numbers before?
Absolutely. So we look at often police departments and see what it costs for them to have a deputy on the street, and it's usually significantly more what we cost in the Sheriff's Department. And the main reason is the scales of economy. Keep in mind, we have over 9,000 sworn members, deputy sheriffs, and sworn supervisors on our department, versus a police department which can average from 100 to 200 or even smaller. Some of them are 25 officers or 50 in LA County. And that tends to be where a lot of the savings are in the scales of economy, because for things such as training, personnel, other aspects of dispatching and things like that, that we can have much better use of the resources that's covering a lot of areas and use it more efficiently than a smaller agency.
And how is that better and more efficient? Is it the experience, or just the wealth of resources, or where does that come into play as far as actually saving people, taxpayers' money?
A little bit of both. So we've seen, like, when we look at a police department, that they may have their own dedicated canine dog for a search dog, a police dog, for looking for suspects. However, that police dog most likely is not deployed every day and used to search for a suspect in a smaller police department, where in Los Angeles County, with all of our areas that we police, approximately a population of 3 million people in the cities and the unincorporated area, that those resources get used regularly, and it's more cost-effective that dog is used not every day, absolutely, but on a regular basis, versus a police department where they're paying for this resource, but it's not being used all the time.
Almost like a buffet versus a la carte situation, if I can relate it to something that
Correct.
You and I understand.
So, when you have an incident in your city in Santa Clarita, we have county-wide resources from SWAT teams, crisis negotiation teams, helicopter services for emergencies, and detectives that come in from homicide to, we have a major crimes bureau for major cases and things of that nature that investigate crimes throughout the entire LA County. And that's a resource that is available to all the cities in LA County, so it's not an additional charge to the city when they contract with us. So there's some cost savings there in that aspect, too.
And what about efficiency of operations? I believe that was one thing that was mentioned to me from Captain Moen a while back when we were looking at doing a story on the contract. They were looking at the minute breakdown, and there are certain things where if all of your services are with LASD, I would imagine that would make things a little bit easier when there is an emergency response.
Oh, absolutely. So as you're probably well aware in your community, when there's a disaster or something strikes, be it an earthquake or a fire or some other natural disaster or whatever may happen, or even civil unrest, which has happened in my career, that we have, as I said, 9,000 sworn officers on our department, and that's something that any city, be it Santa Clarita or one of your neighboring contract cities, will be able to pull from immediately if an incident happens within their contract cities. It's basically a built-in mutual aid that the Sheriff's Department has with other stations and other resources in the Sheriff's Department.
And can you just kind of talk about maybe a recent cost analysis breakdown that the Sheriff's Department has done for a city? I mean, are those figures public? Is that something you can talk about?
No, it's public, definitely. The last two cities that we looked at in 2012, it was the city of Vernon, and they were having some financial issues.
Right.
And the city would save approximately 25% savings for that city if they would have contracted with the Sheriff's Department. But the city officials analyzed both what they could do internally, and they decided not to contract with the Sheriff's Department, and they ended up, by a vote of the residents, raised taxes to cover their budget issues.
Interesting. And as far as one city, I believe Compton was LASD, and then they went to a police department, and now they're back to the Sheriff's Department, right?
That was the city of Cudahy. So back probably about 10 years ago, they left the Sheriff's Department and contracted with the city of Maywood. So the city of Maywood had financial problems, and they lost their ability to get liability insurance for everything, for their police department, public works, and everything in that city. So they actually laid off all their city employees, including their police department, in 2010. And so the city of Cudahy, they looked at other neighboring cities to contract with and us, and ultimately they decided, when Maywood decided to come with us to contract with him, that's what what ended up and happened. And we ended up, saving both those cities some money.
And so now is it a Maywood station, or did you put a station in between the two locations, or how does that work?
Those cities are being policed out of one of the neighboring areas of East Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
And then the most recent big city was probably Compton in 2000. They had their own police department, and a lot of what drove that decision was a financial decision of the city. And it ended up that back in, I think it was 2012 or 2013, actually, the city had a referendum to change their city charter. It was a Measure I, where the voters in the city of more than 60% approved that the Sheriff's Department by charter now becomes their police department. It was very unusual. We haven't had that happen before, but shows a level of satisfaction with the service of the Sheriff's Department.
And Lieutenant Ross, one thing we also like to do is to let our residents know about the people behind the badge, and we get to know our Sheriff's Department officials. If I could ask you a few more questions and put you on the hot seat and have you stick around for one more segment?
You bet.
Awesome. Thanks, Lieutenant Ross. So we got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back on your hometown station on the Neighborhood Watch, brought to you by All-American Bail Bonds, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back, Santa Clarita Valley. We're here on your Neighborhood Watch with Deputy Josh Dubin in the studio with me, and I have Lieutenant Andy Rosso on the line. We were just talking about how the Sheriff's Department provides services for contract cities and how it helps the contract cities keep track of those dollars and cents. And Lieutenant Rosso, now that we've gotten the nuts and bolts out of the way, we want to put you on the hot seat and ask you some questions.
Sure.
All right. What's your original hometown?
Oh, I grew up in Santa Barbara County in Lompoc.
Oh, Lompoc. All right. Best album of all time?
Oh, I would say London Calling.
Oh, I like it. Is that Ramones? No, is that Clash? It's Clash.
Yes.
Sorry. I just lost
He
my
didn't say Michael,
street cred.
Yeah. You never had any street cred.
Ouch.
So usually people say Michael Jackson, Thriller.
Yeah, we've had that answer about 15 times.
So that's good.
It's nice to hear something different.
Right.
Reason you became a deputy? We kind of talked about that a little bit already.
Sure. I saw an ad in the paper, thought I'd check it out, went on a ride along with a deputy at West Hollywood Station, and I was sold on it.
What was the first job you ever had?
Paperboy.
Right on. The Lompoc Times?
Yes, Lompoc Record.
Lompoc Record. And favorite meal while you're on the job? On patrol, by the way, not in the office, because that's a little different. You got
probably like a wrap or a burrito, something easy.
All right. Best part of the job aside from helping people?
I learn something new all the time.
Favorite cop movie or TV show?
Cop movie. The favorite cop TV show would be the one that's on the air now. I like that Mike and Molly show where the guy's a Chicago cop.
All right. A little outside the box. We like it. We get. What was yours? Southland, Dubin?
I like that TV show, and then they canceled it.
Mine's The
However,
Wire.
Beverly Hills Cop is still.
Yep. Okay. Best movie, sure. What is the number one preventable crime you see or you hear about, Lieutenant Rosso?
I'd say theft from a vehicle.
Perfect transition to what we're going to talk about in our next segment.
Absolutely.
Lieutenant Rosso, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on and talking to us about what the Sheriff's Department's Law Enforcement Contract Bureau does. Did I say that right?
Yes,
Contract Law Enforcement Bureau. All right. We really appreciate your time. And, if any people have questions about the Contract Law Enforcement Bureau, they can go on LASD, or there's a number to call?
Yes. Our main line is 323-526-5737.
Awesome. Thanks again, Lieutenant Rosso. Appreciate you calling in.
You bet. Thank you.
And he just mentioned number one preventable crime, bike thefts.
Theft.
You guys have been putting out the word,
Right.
Deputy Dubin, here at the Santa Clarita Valley Station, and talking about just how people cannot be a victim. We've seen a rise in what you'd call in the department as crimes of opportunity, where people are, maybe leaving themselves open to be a victim, maybe making it a little bit easier for the criminal than they have to, or maybe leaving something out and enticing a theft when, that can be avoided. Talk to me a little bit about the message you were trying to get out there with your Nixle.
Right. Well, you know what? It's not just on Nixle. Twitter, Facebook. We're going to be working with the city, too, to do some public outreach campaigns. Really, we need to get the word out, and it needs to be like a top-of-mind awareness. Lock your vehicle. Keep your valuables out of your vehicle, and don't leave anything in plain sight. Kind of like a lock it or lose it type of situation. Recently, I did a press release, and you covered it on hometownstation.com. But so we had a male using a Starbucks card that was stolen.
That incident.
Right.
That drew a lot of attention.
It did. And some people were like, well, why is the Sheriff's Department using resources to track down a stolen Starbucks card? But let's
back it up.
Let's back it up a little bit. This started with a theft from a vehicle. And unfortunately, the vehicle was left unlocked in the driveway of a residence in Canyon Country. However, a suspect...
It takes a pretty bold nerve, by the way, to go and steal a car that's in front of somebody's house.
The car wasn't.
It's unlocked.
The car wasn't itself stolen. The stuff on the interior.
Steal from? I mean,
right.
you're just going to walk up to a vehicle and
right.
help
And so
yourself.
so when the resident came out, they found their doors open, hatch up, everything like that. And it wasn't just a Starbucks card that was stolen out of it.
You mentioned something like $1,300.
Yeah, like over $1,300-$1,500 of items. Purse, all credit cards, all kinds of different things like that. Sunglasses. So now we're processing the case, and as you can imagine, we have quite a few of these cases. So, we try and work the leads that we have on these cases. So in this case, now we have this Starbucks card that was registered, and then the victim gets a text or a notification on their Starbucks app.
So the detective was able to find out that somebody used this stolen... Okay, so the person got a text from the app.
Right, either a text or... Do you have the Starbucks app, Harry?
I don't.
You should probably look into that.
That's probably true.
So,
as I drink my Starbucks coffee.
That I bought for you. Thank you. So, the victim gets notified, hey, you had this Frappuccino purchase or whatever on your stolen Starbucks card. So victim is in contact with the detective. Hey, this is, what we got going on here. So the detective responds to the Starbucks location. Hey, at this date and this time, a person, we don't know who, bought something using the stolen card. Okay, well, now let's start reviewing surveillance video and stuff like that. So now this is our only lead to a felony crime that happened in somebody's driveway in the middle of the night. So that was the purpose of the press release.
I need to back it up again, though. I'm sorry. I've been given a Starbucks gift card before, and it didn't seem like it had trackable information. I don't understand. So the card hooks up to the app?
Well, let me tell you.
Oh, boy. Starbucks is going to break it down for me. Okay, go ahead, Deputy.
So when you have a Starbucks card, you can use the app, and you can constantly reload it. Once you've registered it and you reload it all the time, every 12 drinks that you buy, you get a free drink.
Oh, my goodness.
Or a free food item.
Brought to you by Starbucks.
This is turning into a shameless plug really quick. The moral of the story is, so this victim had this feature or whatever activated. It's not
Which
mandatory.
turns
but,
out is handy because
right.
if your car
but
gets
you
stolen.
you can go back, so I can go back since I visit.
You're a frequent
I'm a
Starbucks-
frequent flyer.
Oh, my
I can go
goodness.
back and I can see all my purchases, in the past month or whatever it is. So now I go back or I get alerted, hey, this is your purchase. So me being the victim, now I have my Starbucks card stolen, or you could either use the app or the card. So now I have my Starbucks card stolen, and so now I am alerted, hey, somebody just bought a Frappuccino. And I'm like, well, I didn't buy the Frappuccino. So now
The detective knew it was bought at that time, went back, oh, shoot, we got to take a quick commercial break. We will get to the bottom of this
will.
Starbucks caper, brought to you by Starbucks and Deputy Josh Dubin. When we get back on your hometown station, the Neighborhood Watch, which is actually brought to you by All American Bail Bonds.
And not Starbucks.
And not Starbucks.